But the older I get, man, the more I realize it's more about purpose. Just because you were born into this situation, it doesn't define you. You define you, bro. Break the cycle. Don't be like your family, because anything that was worth having was worth sacrificing for. Of course, you're not going to be the best right at the beginning, but you've got to try, man.
Why not go down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
You know, like just try it. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. Because I have so much potential doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I just have to like keep going with it instead of just start the next thing.
We're really good at making excuses and building barriers for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. That limits our potential and limits us. And we can justify it a million ways as to why we can't do something. I stand here still progressing, still fighting for something that's bigger than myself. And I will continue to do that, as will you, you know? And we choose that. So just know that if you really want something, it's going to be hard. And it's going to be days where you want to quit, and you just have to focus and like power through that, man. I climbed a mountain, and I literally stand on top of this giant mountain, and I look, and all I see is a bigger mountain. I want that mountain. I don't want this mountain, that one.
I'll achieve that thing. I'll do that thing that I wanted to do. And I'm just like, it wasn't good enough.
You have to realize that there's certain level of outcome that you can't control. You got to enjoy it along the way.
Enjoy the process.
Yeah, man.
Okay. So I've got Jason Watts. Today we're going to be talking about, we don't know 100%, but we're going to be talking about, what do you think?
Man, there's a lot of topics I feel like we could talk about.
Yeah.
But something I'm on, at least for myself, right, is just talking about like purpose and the idea of like purpose, man, and really kind of what that means, you know. And even when you're kind of young and trying to understand like what you want out of life, like what decisions do you make? Like, what is your path? What do you want? You know, and even kind of, I'm now middle-aged, and now I kind of have made a bunch of decisions. Like I feel like your age, man, you're in the process of making a bunch of decisions that are going to kind of lead you on a path. Well, now I'm like 20 years beyond you, and I'm like, well, this is kind of like what I know. And man, if I could go back in some circumstances, I may have made, you know, different decisions. So I feel like stuff like that is like life is just, you know, learning. And it's just like, you got to embrace that and know that like you don't know anything. And so it's just cool to connect with other like-minded people and be able to share thoughts and ideas, you know?
Mm-hmm. So before we get into anything super crazy, let everybody know like who you are, like what you do, or your story, I guess.
Yeah. Ooh, man, that's almost a loaded question for me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost like, so who I am by day and who I am by night, right? Like, so by day, you know, I'm a business operations for an eye care company in Fort Worth, right? And my career is technically business operations, but I come from like accounting and finance background and project management and business development. So I've had many different professions like within the business world. And that's just kind of my curious personality, right? Like I learn about things, and then it's like, even with the fashion now, I'm like, I'm interested in that, man. So like professionally, I've like done a bunch of stuff. But so that's my by day, but by night, man, I'm the founder of Revolt Streetwear Syndicate here in Denton, Texas, man. You know, represent. But yeah, I've lived all over the place. So my wife and I, my daughter moved here to this area from Northern California, which we lived for like 5 years. My daughter was born there. And before that, I met my wife actually in Boulder, Colorado. You know, so I was in there in Colorado, and I'm actually from Florida originally. So that's kind of like my path, man. Lived a bunch of different places, done a bunch of different stuff, you know. But yeah, man, excited to kind of connect with you with this platform, man. I really dig the podcast and like what you're trying to do. And it's just a testament to you as a person and what I know of you, you know. And even when we first met, man, it was, you're a hustler, and I knew it. And it's like, I kind of, we know our own, you know. And so when I met, I'll just even tell your viewers the story of our meeting. Yeah. So
I want to rehear it anyway.
Yeah. I guess you'll hear my version of it, man. So you correct me along the way. But I met Jameson. He was hustling for you were doing a skate competition, man, with Bearded Skate.
That's right.
Yeah. And looking for just sponsorship or someone to just give some prizes and stuff. And me, man, even still to this day, I'm still like kind of hustling like a startup, man. I'm pretty much just operating my brand as a startup with like as little investment as possible just to like keep the lights on, trying to grow it and grow the consumer base and really kind of build the brand. And so you're doing the same thing, right? Like, but as a 17-year-old kid. And so it was funny. So I made some stuff for the skate comp and I pull up, we met like in a Walmart neighborhood market. And here's this like 17-year-old kid. And he was like, yeah, I'm working this job. Well, I kind of have two jobs. And I was like, wait a minute. So you kind of have two jobs and you go to school, and you started your own skate brand. And it's like, damn, and you're 17, man. It's like, that's impressive. I was like, this kid is, special, So seeing your progression from there until now, man, and now even doing the podcast, I like that, man. I like seeing also kids, your age who have that mentality and that want something and then set goals for themselves and then go and do it, and it's like, I know plenty of adults that I interact with on a daily basis who are not worth a damn,
Mhm.
and so to see you do that, man, it's a testament, man, of who you are, but just keep going because if you have that now, it's like continue that journey, and so I'm
Yeah.
excited for you, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That does mean a lot, especially coming from you, because like I don't know, there's been times when it's like I've looked up to you, and it's like we don't know each other a lot, but you have been like an inspiration to me,
Hell yeah,
in a
man.
lot of ways.
Dude, that's
So
awesome. And I appreciate it, man. I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways, Jameson, that's why we're here, right? Is like, I think we all have ideas of why we're here on this planet. But as I progress and get older and older, right? And I'll even tell you a little bit about my story, for the people listening, but coming from like a poor family, right? And having nothing or, having something, but just not enough to go around, or seeing what the rest of the world has that you don't and having the rest of the world telling you you will never have that, so it's like that kind of forged me into this person that I am today, man. And I just feel like that transformation just always continues, and you just continue learning and progressing. But it's like I was so focused on money and thinking that that was going to be the answer for me, is that like have everything I never had and give that to my child, but the older I get, man, the more I realize it's more about purpose, and it's meeting people and having an impact in just on humanity. That's
mhm.
more what I'm into now. It's
Yeah.
like, it's like I want to make an impact like that. I want to like someone like you, where you just kind of come into and just meet me for a minute and like go on with your life, man. But maybe you take something from that, and maybe it's like, no, but that guy did it, man. He didn't have nothing. He did it. I can do it too.
Mhm.
It's like that's what I want, man. I want everyone to have that. And it's just kind of like going through and being a poor kid and understanding what that means and what it feels like, And it's just like I want to be able to reach that kid and say, dude, this isn't it. Just because you were born into this situation, it doesn't define you. You define you, bro. Right?
Mhm.
And that's what's up. And that's what like I feel like a lot of people don't understand. And they never really have somebody to do that for them and to say that there's something in you and I see it. Now continue, double down, invest in yourself, learn,
Mhm.
improve, like set goals, man.
Yeah.
Do it, bro, And it's just like I want to do that for people, man, because I feel like there's so much talent that I see just on the daily. And it's just like that's why even wasted talent, man, is a theme of my brand because I feel like that was me. I was wasted, man. I was like, I worked 20 years in an office just to, you know, be able to provide for my family. Yeah, but I wasn't doing anything, man. I wasn't doing anything for the world. I was doing something for myself and for my family, right? Which is important. I mean, I wanted to provide a lifestyle that I never had, and I did that. But then at the end of that, you know, at the
Mhm.
end of that tunnel, bro, where was I? And it's like, well, I'm still kind of square one when it comes to purpose, right?
Yeah.
It's like, anyway.
I kind of want to go down this little path of you mentioned earlier and just now that you got what you wanted. You got what you worked so hard for.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are working so hard for that one thing, and you did that and you got what you wanted, but now it's like, what do you think fulfills? Like, do you feel fulfilled, you know?
I think it's so interesting too because it's kind of multifaceted, right? Because like when it comes to like say my life, I'm very fulfilled with certain things in my life. Like my relationship with my wife, my best friend. Like absolutely. My relationship with my daughter, also my best friend. Like so that part of my life, I am fulfilled. Like I could die today and know that I had the best life with my family. Like that, I would change nothing, nothing. Right. But when we start talking about purpose, purpose is like personal just to me and to like my kind of journey on this planet. Right. And part of that journey was, of course, to have create this family, which is my everything. It is me, but it's like for my personal journey, it's like I'm on a path for something. I know I have a purpose, and I'm just trying to find it like everybody else, you know. What I'm just realizing through even the creation of Revolt and really connecting with people is kind of what we talked about. Like, a lot of people don't have somebody motivating them or telling them that they're special or like really recognizing the talent that lies within them. Now, doesn't necessarily have to be skateboarding talent or artistic talent or anything. We all are good at something. And it's just kind of coming into contact with it and then having the confidence to then pursue it, you know? And so it's like the kind of the feeling that I get from like I can go and through my job, do well at my job and get a big bonus and earn a bunch of money. And yeah, I'll feel good that day. It's celebration, right? Oh, I got a bunch of money and I feel great, right? But then tomorrow, it's right back to the grind. I'm still working the same dead end job that is not fulfilling me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, man, when I come into contact with people and I interact and just even having conversations with people and listening to them, and I just am the type of person where I have a conversation with people and, I try to help them just even emotionally or just whatever, I do that to the people I come in contact with and almost invest in them maybe when no one else does, and the feeling that I get in my soul when I interact with people like that, it gives me something that I feel like nothing in this world has in a different way. Like, like it's just about
Mm.
me and my own purpose. And I feel like I want to chase that more and more, like, so as I kind of wind down my like corporate America career, I want to really start understanding how I can do something for the greater good, nothing to do with the generation of money, which was all I was about, you know? And even we talked about it a little bit, but yeah, so just like growing up poor, from a working class family, I mean, it bred us into hard workers. I mean, because even yourself, right? Like what we talked about is like, I guarantee you're a hard worker that even you'll have multiple jobs, but I bet you're not a slacker on those jobs. I bet you
Mm-hmm.
are outperforming your peers, because that's who I am. I think that's who you are, you know? And I don't know, man. Like, so now imagine taking that energy, right, to be the best at your job, working at work. And it's like, well, what if I invested that energy in doing something for good? Not nothing about me at all, So I feel like the more kind of selfless kind of things, the more I do for others, the better it makes me feel. And I want to chase that, man. It's like, but everyone's journey is different. And that's just how mine progressed and why it did. But everyone's on their own path.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's figuring it out. And it's like, what do you want out of life? Or what do you want like lifestyle wise? Or what are you trying to do? Because some people may not they're not, like I said, they're not on the path that I'm at, like
Right.
looking to
Right.
earn and achieve and like all of that. They might just want a simple life. Good for you.
Yeah.
Go and do that, and
Mm-hmm.
pursue, a career that will kind of support that lifestyle, you know?
So then with that, we talked a little bit about this, but like what do you think about like college and stuff?
Yeah. So,
So like,
yeah, yeah.
you're kind of saying people need to like find what it is they want because everybody has a different path. So one person's path is not going to look the same as yours or mine.
Yep.
So it's not going to be the same output of energy. It's not going to be the same lifestyle and whatever. What if, it's like, yeah, what if somebody just wants to live like somebody listening and they're like, I just want to
Just a
settle
modest,
down,
yeah, just
have kids,
yeah, of
like,
course, like a modest life. And
yeah.
dude, I get it. Like that's awesome. And
Yeah.
like if that, especially if that's what you want, like even early, even if you're 20 years old and that's what you want, amazing. Follow that, because now if you think about it, if that's the lifestyle, that you're choosing, then you can kind of have a modest career to support that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to be signing up now to be like a corporate executive. It's kind of role. You could have like a normal kind of job. Just you just want to make sure that you can support your family to the level that you envision. you
Mm-hmm.
know, so it's almost like when you're trying to pick a career or pick a path. Where do you see yourself at the end? Like what do you, how, what kind of car do you want? What big a house do you want? Like even the material crap, even though it is truly just material crap, and we talked about this, but it doesn't matter because it's the reward for the pain and suffering. It's like, so really it just depends on kind of how you see yourself. But then also, if you want just something modest and you want children, but you have to understand, okay, so we'll talk about that. So I came from a family of 4 children, and my parents were restaurant workers. Well, actually, my mom was kind of a part-time bookkeeper, but my dad, I mean, he supported my household of being a restaurant manager, right? So four children, right? So there's not enough to go around. Pretty much everything, both
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
And you come from a big family too, and so it's not
Yeah,
even just
dude.
money; it's attention,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like now you're chopping up everything into fours, and it's tough,
Yeah.
And so like even just seeing that, I was like, and also too, it's like let's talk about that. So my dad was a restaurant manager, right? So he worked at night, right? And when was he home during the day when I was at school, right? So I got to really see my dad a couple days a week, like really see and spend time. And in the days he was home, he was busy because he's, like not normally home at those periods of time. So it was a tough lifestyle, right? So I knew that I wanted to be home for my children, So like even
Mm-hmm.
right now, I work a 9 to 5. My wife works a 9 to 5. Like how weird is it? And even I was talking to somebody else who lives again a different work lifestyle, and I was like just calling out to my daughter. I'm like, it's kind of odd that she's turning 14, and her entire life she's always had an adult, one of us at home when she comes home from school, and every weekend we spent together. There's never we worked on the weekend or anything. Or like, we might do some business travel, but that's it. But how crazy is that? I mean, it's absolutely totally different. So and then again, thinking about the lifestyle that I wanted, I didn't want a restaurant lifestyle. I wanted like something more normal that matched the school hours. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of what kind of set me down that path. Then I wanted money. I wanted that paper. That
Mm-hmm.
was an absolute, right? Because I had been, kind of starved for it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted it. It was like
Yeah.
my number one. It was like my focus. And so that's why even like with a lot of, even when if you look at my stuff with Revolt, is that there's, I mean, dollar signs on
Dollar signs
everything,
everywhere.
dollar
Yeah.
signs and anarchy signs. And it's really like, and even like kind of the anarchy sign stuff is more of like break the cycle, go against. Like you were born into a certain circumstance. Good. Break the cycle. Don't be like your family at all. You don't need to. I mean, you can, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, imagine if you're born into a family that had, like, yeah, you can follow whatever traditions, but you can be totally different and define yourself in any way because you're strong enough to do it. You just got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna be
It's
long
awesome.
winded with these apologies.
No. So I like to think my listener is the hustle,
Yeah.
like that's who I talk to. And I talk to the people who are like, want to change. Nobody's going to listen to my podcast and who doesn't want to change because I say some hard truths.
Yeah.
I say some things you don't want to hear,
Yeah.
but you need to hear.
Absolutely.
So I like to think my listeners are, tough.
Yeah.
But also like talking to the kid who's like, I want to go places. I want to do something. What do you like? Do you have anything to say to that kid or to that person?
Yeah.
I guess.
I have everything to say. Well, just think about, man, like a lot of times, and it's easy with social media, and we even talked about this, like, so I didn't grow up with social media like you guys, right? So you have all of these just, like I said, at any given time throughout the day, you can open up your phone, look at it, and see someone who's doing better than you, that's healthier than you, that's prettier than you, that's whatever. And you almost like have that just waiting for you at any given time, right?
All the time.
But then it's easy to dream and say, I want that. I want what this person has. That looks sick. I want it. It's like, okay, well, want it, but then do your homework and learn about it, right? Learn everything you can about it. Become it, right? Like learn everything you can because now you're trying to compete, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to throw your hat in the ring and be another brand on the shelf or whatever you're trying to accomplish, right? But someone's already done it. You've seen it, you want it. Well, what do you bring to the table? You bring your perspective and your everything, of course, but you have to learn, and then you have to actually show up every day when it's the most bleak, right? Because anything that was worth having was worth sacrificing for, right? Like it was hard. Like, I mean, yeah, you'll hear a
Yeah.
lot of stuff about like people who go viral, whatever, man. But lots of times with that is that it's gone as quick as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
So even when it comes to starting anything, start small. And I can even learn that through the whole this process with creating Revolt is I try to just jump to the end. Like, I don't want to do all the work. Who wants to do the work? The work sucks. Who wants to like every day show up and like not be successful overnight? Like, who wants
Right?
that?
It's like,
Everyone demands overnight success,
yeah.
because we're Americans and that's what we want. We want
Mhm.
progress. If I put in,
Mhm.
I worked one day, I should see value for that day's of work.
Oh yeah.
It's like
That instant gratification.
exactly. Right.
And we have a big problem with that in eh, everyday life. Instant, like people wanting the instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's like one of the I've been doing a lot of, I'm covering this topic in the next couple weeks, and I've been doing a whole timeline, and I've been looking into a lot of this stuff about
Mhm.
like why we see what we see in society today, and why people are doing this, and how this is affecting everybody. And this is kind of like the stuff that I've been researching for like the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But instant gratification, it's like such a big problem these days, because like kids these days aren't starting, like they're not doing anything anymore because they have all the instant gratification they want,
Mhm.
scrolling on Instagram,
Exactly.
scrolling on TikTok.
Yeah.
It like makes your brain happy and whatever, so it's like people feel no need to put in the energy to do anything else because they're putting in all their energy in consuming.
Just being consumers. Yes.
So I wanted to bring
Yes.
that to
Yes.
consuming and creating.
Yes. Absolutely. Which is a huge problem. And this is even, I tell this to my own children because I see them flipping. Everyone's, scrolling, on TikTok, Instagram, like you said. And this is what I even tell even my younger daughter, who is now starting to, be a Twitch streamer and like start being a content creator. Because why would you sit there and just consume? It's just somebody else's life, somebody else's perspective. Like, I mean, which is, it's cool to be influenced by things or, just to be entertained. I mean, that's what we're doing is to be entertained, but you can't let it just now take over all the time in your life because you still need to kind of be progressing in your own thing, whatever that is, And it's like, I feel like, again, we never stop growing. I feel like we never stop, progressing whatever ourselves in any way. And I feel like a certain amount of like just whatever entertainment we can get. I mean, so I don't want to like demonize the social media stuff because if you're just watching reruns, I'll be watching stupid reruns of Seinfeld all the time and just a background noise for no reason, So I feel like that's the same thing. I'm getting almost the same mind numbing entertainment that I would from just scrolling. I try to stay away from the social media stuff, man, because it's toxic for me. Like I know, like actually, this is something good to even talk about. Like, and I don't want to just pick on the social media, but for me, it's very toxic, and it's toxic for my creativity. It's toxic for my hustle, bro. Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. My hustle is tarnished, when I'm sitting there looking at everybody else's successful clothing brands
Oh yeah.
or whatever it is. It's just like you're constantly being reminded that you're not good enough
You're not good enough. Yeah.
and quit. And while you're at it,
Yeah.
quit, bro. Like quit, man, because you're not good enough. Did you know? You're like, look, you're not good enough. Did you see today? You're still not good enough.
Oh, again.
Quit.
Again.
You just quit. And so it's like I feel like there is some type of healthy, I'm sure, use of social media. But even man, with like the Revolt stuff, is I get on, post, and get off.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to spend a little time going and liking people's stuff and like really kind of interacting and kind of like more of what it was meant to be. But I will not stay on there and I will not like,
Right.
when I start to feel like somehow negative about it, then it's like, I gotta get off because you just gotta know yourself, man, know your triggers. And I am good enough. And I know that like my brand is good enough. And so just number of likes, a number of whatever, I don't give a shit, man. Like it's just about like my creativity, and it's about me and like what I'm doing, and it's not about all of the metrics and everything, because the heart and soul is still kind of, I'm trying to keep it as pure as possible and not kind of be fall into the pitfalls, man, because I would have quit a long time ago, honestly, if I was really like you
Yeah.
know a presence on social media. I would have quit, man, because
Hmm.
it's tough. And so you've got to keep yourself almost like surrounded by healthy kind of affirmation type things, not feeling like not good enough, So I feel like it's just difficult. It's kind of a difficult thing to manage. And if you're trying to be a creator and be a creator of it, and so let's just say is like spend your time then creating, because chances are you have a perspective that is totally unique. And yeah, you might be influenced. I feel like a little bit of, it's good to be motivated by others or inspired by others. But yeah, you have within you something totally unique. So kind of,
Everybody does.
yeah. So like,
Yeah.
show me. I want to see it,
Hmm.
because I know it's different. Then yeah, it might be similar, but no, it might be just that magic sweet spot of something totally different. So pursue it and check it out. And honestly, fail. Like try something and just suck at it. And then yeah, quit it or try for a minute, and then continue to figure it out, because in this life, we weren't all just born knowing what we're going to be good at or what we're going to enjoy. We got to test it out, and see
Yeah.
something, man. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's why even the social media is good, like reels. You'll be like, what is this? Oh, I'm interested in this. And
Never even
then
thought about that.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
then you're starting to get a little crafty feeling. You're like, wait a minute, man, this is not that hard. I can
Yeah.
do this. I can. Hey,
Yeah.
who knows, man? You might start crocheting or something, and like and then that is good. That is like a good outcome of the social media stuff. It just when, like I said, it becomes
So,
negative and tarnishes your own
yeah.
creativity,
And also like it's self control.
Yeah,
Everybody needs. I feel like more self control than they have, but
yeah,
knowing your limits, I guess.
yeah,
What I just did, like it was about a week ago. I posted my last reel for the podcast, and then I just deleted all my social media.
really.
Yeah, just because like
Oh, like the
I'm
apps on your
working.
phone, like the apps on your
Yeah,
phone. Okay,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because I'm working on this timeline. I'm working on this big project,
yeah,
and I want to make this like insane. I have this huge plan. I'm covering like Gen Z and like a lot of the issues that we have today.
yeah,
Like I said,
mhm,
some really like important topics. And I kept like, I'm like, I'm not getting, usually I go to social media for like an inspiration.
yeah,
I'll scroll for like a couple minutes every once in a while.
mhm,
And I'm like, I just want like looking for an inspiration for a topic or whatever. But now
yeah,
I
yeah,
have my topic, and then it became, I was like, just, doom scrolling. And then
yeah, yeah,
it was like, what was I trying to say? Spending so much time on it,
yeah.
but it was like I couldn't focus anymore and whatever. So it was like, yeah, so
I get what
the
you're
reason
saying. Yeah, yeah,
I
like the
got off of
detox.
it
You're
was
kind of detoxing yourself.
detoxing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just from it, like
that's
that.
why.
And
Yeah.
it's so important. And actually, my wife just did the same thing, like where she kind of just got off the social media because yeah, she just kind of hit that realization that like, is this really even you're putting your life out there for all these people, but are these really your friends? Like these are your people?
Right.
Because probably not. It's probably not. The people who are really your friends are probably the ones that you interact with, like real time, like face to face, or that you're like, making an effort to contact and see. Like those are your real connections.
Hmm.
So why are you spending so much time like worried about like these other connections? I don't know. But see, then that also too is like also a very I don't say Gen Z thing, because again, you guys are a product of the situation in time right now in humanity. So that's why I almost hate when people like dog on this generation or that,
Yeah.
because it's like, dude, we didn't pick where it's just like you just had a certain set of pop
Hmm.
culture influences, technology, of the things that made you guys the way you are.
Yep.
And it's like because of social media and because of like the whole influencer kind of this generation, right? Everyone kind of wants things and they want them quickly, and like why learn a trade or go to college or do this? I'll just be an influencer or something, and that let's do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, which works for some, and if that's and more power to you, dude. If you made that work, good for you. That takes a hustler mentality as well. But it's just like not everybody can be that, just like not everybody can be like sports stars and stuff, and famous musicians. It's like we still got to have day jobs, man. You still got to still hustle your dream, but still earn and provide the lifestyle that you owe yourself and your family, or that you want for yourself and your family.
Mm.
So it's like I'm always a proponent, right? Like, or even everything that I've done with Revolt is all funded by myself, right? And it's just, and why didn't I do this? It's so funny. I always ask my wife, I'm like, I could have done this like 10 years ago, 10, 20 years ago. And it's like, yeah, but I didn't have the money to do it, so it was a necessary part of my story and progression that I had to be in a position to self-fund my own clothing label, right? How am I going to do it? Well, I could find somebody to do it for me, or I could just have to work the day job and save up, man, and do it while raising a family, while doing everything else. And this was just part of my story. And so it's like, I think that, like, even when, like, as a 20-year-old, understanding like what your passion is and like what you love to do just in general. Like, what is your passion? What do you, just like I said, that it would be great if you got paid for it, but
Yeah.
it's not, it's like, that's not guaranteed. But it's like kind of having that and then progressing that as an unnatural, just to kind of fulfill your life while you're working through whatever career aspirations are needed, again, to provide that lifestyle that you want. Right.
Hmm.
And so it's just like, that's something too that people lose. Like, I lost it. Like, I lost art, man, for like 10 years of my life. And it's just crazy because I fell into the pitfall of, I'm working. I'm a young father. Like, so my daughter was born when I was 25 and I'm working. And like, so me and my wife, we both work. And so our life is just, now we're workers and raising a child and still trying to make time for each other. And that was it. That was like all you have. But then it was like, as my life progressed, my daughter got older and older, didn't need me as much. And then I have more free time. And then I can invest my time, invest my money into something different. But it was because, though, I worked those for years, man.
Yeah.
Those hard work of years to build a career. And honestly, I have a career, man, that I could just keep doing this, and I could just keep progressing this and be fine. I'd be great. I would have money, have it all. I already have done all the work, but I'm telling you, it doesn't fulfill me. It's like, I'm not spending the next 20 years doing that. Even though it'll yield whatever financial gains for my family, I don't care, because it's just, you know what I mean? That's another thing too, is it's very interesting of, like, as a parent, what you owe your children. That's a very interesting concept as well,
Mm.
because it's like, I wanted to provide for my child everything that I never had, buy her everything that I never had or could afford. But then, you know what happened? She got used to that. And so now, to this day, she's owed that. She's entitled to that.
Mm.
That's just part of her lifestyle. It's like, and so it's like, it's a very interesting concept as well. Is like, when you start building this plan for your future and for your family's future, what that really means, even in the next phase. Because in my next phase, I'm telling you, like, my daughter will move on and go to college and start her own life. And now I can move into the next phase of my life where I don't need this job to support this lifestyle. I can live very modestly, me and my wife, and be happy and get a job doing something that we would love, that would really fill us up on the inside.
Hmm.
Like, that's what I'm about. And that's just, again, my life and my progression. And I had to make mistakes along the way, in order to get here. But I feel like everyone else also kind of just needs to be thinking through that, right? Because it's like, you have your career and then you have your passions and things that really kind of build you up and like make you excited, and you may not even have that yet. Maybe you weren't supposed to. Maybe you're gonna find that when you're 40. I love this story too. And I'm sorry I'm talking so much. That's just my nature.
You're good, dude. I mean, I need somebody to talk.
So my wife tells me the story that Vera Wang, I want to say that she started getting into fashion and I think wasn't successful until, I think, she was 50. She didn't, and we know Vera Wang in fashion. She's like one of the names, like, and she wasn't even successful until 50. It's like, she didn't even know that that's what she wanted. And then eventually, something changed in her life. And then maybe she had a little more time to focus or just to kind of, I don't know, change her kind of her path forward. But it's just interesting. I feel like as you guys make decisions and like figure out what you want to do, it's like you have your needs and your wants, or you're just going to have stuff that you want to buy, things that you will like that stuff, or you want to have children and children are expensive. So you're planning all that out. But it's just like, it's just an interesting thing of like what you value as far as like in your kind of spirit with money versus purpose, because we all make a decision, right? And it's just, I have nothing but respect and gratitude for all the teachers who have impacted my daughter her whole life. We were like so lucky that she's had amazing teachers her whole childhood. And it's like, those people, man, don't make enough for what they deliver to the children, our children in this country, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they're
Mm-hmm.
well compensated for the impact that they're making for future generations, right? But what they're getting, how they're compensated is in purpose, right? They truly are doing that, and they're, driven to do that, and they're contributing to society in a way that not many people get to, right? And it's like that's huge purpose, but they aren't well compensated for that. So then if you're going to get into education, that it will be a modest kind of salary that you will earn from that job, and then maybe you have a second job. Like, and actually my father-in-law, he was a teacher his whole career, but he was mowing lawns on the side, to be able to, afford things for the family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, again, when you start thinking purpose, but then the work that I'm doing is not providing me any satisfaction. I'm not impacting the world, and I'm not really doing that. So so it's like I'm calling into question all of my own career decisions that I made up until this point. But that's just, again, part of my story. And that you just keep learning along the way. So even though you set on a course, it's not given, or I mean, it's not given that you're going to end up a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just be open to the learning experience, I feel like,
Mm-hmm. So if there was somebody listening now and they were like, well, he's saying that this stuff isn't fulfilling and it's not whatever. If somebody was listening and they're like having a hard time starting something, but they really want to start something,
Yeah.
and now they're listening and they're like, well, it's not even going to be worth it. Do you have anything to say? Like,
Oh man, just do it. Just start it. And it's like, it's one of those things that I think we even said before, it's like the stars have to align in order to start this thing. And it's like, you keep promising yourself that it'll be one more month or one more whatever, and then you'll start. It's like,
mm-hmm.
to truly begin the process of doing something well, you've got to be the train wreck. Like, you've got to attempt to do it and just totally mess it up, because you have to learn how to do something and then to perfect it and then, master it, so it's
Mhm.
just like, just taking a stab, and then maybe don't show it to anybody yet,
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like one of those things, if it's a creative endeavor, that's a very sensitive thing, is to show somebody your creative work. And it's like, and I have some theories about this that we already talked about, but
Yeah, let's get into it.
yeah. So I think this is great. So if you think about then to generate something, right? Either you're writing a song or you're painting a picture or any type of creative anything, you're writing a story, a short story, anything. If you show it to somebody, that's a huge thing. You're putting yourself out there to be just projected, or like your creativity or who you are, your blood, sweat, and tears that went into that creative endeavor. If you show it to somebody and they have all the power to truly like just kind of kill your dream right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost feel like a lot of people don't have the confidence to try something, and I tried to, like, so I grew up like around very mentally ill people. So I've always been trying to diagnose. I was a kid coming up with my own psychological diagnoses of my caretakers, right? Like trying to understand, why they are the way they are, and
Yeah.
how can I fix them?
Yeah.
And so I feel like for children, and just like fostering creativity and fostering confidence in anything, it's like, that's why it's so important, like as a parent, that as your child, and like I said, I give the kind of the story of my daughter bringing me something and showing me something that she drew. And it was probably just scribbles and it was like whatever, but she was so proud of it. And man, was I proud of her for that. And that I gave her all of the good feelings and the love and respect for her creativity, that, what, she's going to keep drawing. She draws today. She's creative. She's amazing in her own creative endeavors. But it's because I meticulously fostered that as her father, because of course you're not going to be the best right at the beginning, but you've got
Yeah.
to try, man.
Yeah.
You've got to just start somewhere, and that day is today, bro. So pick it up and just
Mhm.
do it. And maybe, and like I said, be real careful. Maybe you just show it to your best friend or your mom or like somebody you're so close with that there's going to be, the most constructive criticism, or like the, easiest way, because you need constructive criticism. You need people to try to help you along the path. And there's been times too that even with this, I'm like not asking people for their opinion, because I'm just like, I don't want to hear it. Like, I know you're going to, but I didn't even want that to tarnish, because I knew people had something to say. So maybe that is even a strategy, is you don't show it to anybody. You just post it. You know what I mean? You just say, I know it's not perfect. I still get like, so for instance, I'll show my daughter, my 14-year-old like reels that I'll make or something. I'm like, what do you
Yeah.
think of this? And she's like, oh, it's just so cringe. Like she just like tears them up. And then it's like, you know what? And then I won't post it. It really does. And
Yeah.
even like my 14-year-old, and I'm just like, okay, this is terrible. I can't post this now,
Mhm.
because I've just been judged. Even by my own creation has now judged me.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, then I'm not going to post. But it's even that, then I'm losing the creative spirit that it's like, now I've been stifled and I didn't continue. And maybe the format of that video was something new and I didn't continue that. Whereas I probably should have. And I needed to post a couple that were just so, and yeah, cringe. It just wasn't, but the spirit is there and I'm perfecting it over time.
Mhm.
Even to the point, man, if you go back and look at the revolt stuff at the very beginning, it's terrible. And it's just like, I didn't know what I was doing. And even now to this day, full honesty, I still don't know what I'm doing, but I'm still every day trying, man. And I
Yeah.
don't know I don't know if this is my path. And that's the thing is that like, oh yeah, this is all cool and it appears to be cool and I'm having fun with it. But I still don't know if it's my path, but I know I get a lot of good positive feelings from this. And it's, I want to continue, So it's like, I feel like for everybody, like you just gotta just start, man. And you start and then over time look to improve and like look to other people to influencing you because you might like something that someone does, but you're like, no, but I can do it this way. And then it's just progression. It's
Yeah.
creativity. It's like, it needs to breathe some, it needs to get out there. And even like some of the revolt stuff is crazy, like the colors and stuff. And it's a little before its time. And so for some of this stuff, and people are just like, that's just crazy. Like, but it's like, but it needs to breathe and people start seeing it and then they see it and then it becomes, oh wait, I've seen this before. It's just like you hearing a song. You're like, I heard that song. Screw that song. It's not good, no good.
And then
And you hear it again. You're like, ooh, that's got a little something right there. Like, I like
Dude,
that little something.
That's so funny. Real quick,
Yeah.
my brother shows me songs all the time, and then I'll go back like a couple months later and I'll play it. I'm like, dude, check out this awesome song. And he's like, I showed you that song. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
You're like, no, you didn't. No,
Yeah.
you didn't. Yeah, dude, it's funny because my brother does the same thing. I know the exact same story. I'll be like, dude, you got to check out the song.
Yeah.
He's like, I sent it to you. Do you not even, so not only, you just don't check my messages?
Yeah, dude, he'll play it for me in the truck, and I'm just like, this sucks. And then I'll play
Like,
it
turn
for
this up.
another
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
months.
Yeah, exactly. And then he catches you listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
He's
that's
like,
funny.
Dude, are you serious?
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Dude, that's funny.
Sorry, I got off.
No, it's
topic
good.
there,
It's
but
good.
Yeah.
No, but even that, man, do you have like, so of all your siblings, do you have like, this is always interesting too, because I feel like even within sibling groups, yeah, it's like we're all kind of you're sharing genetics. And so you could be alike or not alike, and that might cause conflict. Being too alike might cause conflict, or being totally opposites might also. So
Mhm.
do you have a closer relationship with any of your siblings than others?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
My younger brother, Conrad, growing up, I kind of taught him, like, it was like I was his parent.
Yeah.
I taught him everything he needs to know. Like,
That's cool.
hey man, you're not allowed to snitch. Hey man, you're not.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah. You
I
better know
needed
that
to-
stuff.
Yeah, I needed to like get away with my vaping habit or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and I
Oh, yeah.
couldn't get snitched on.
Of course.
So I would like teach
Snitches
him
get stitches,
whatever.
man. You
Yeah.
gotta teach them that.
But like, growing up, I was always like, this may sound like really bad, but I was very like manipulating my
Yeah.
siblings.
Yeah.
And it was like I just knew how to like play on people's emotions and
Okay.
stuff, and I could get anybody to do whatever I wanted.
Got it. Wait, and where are you in the birth order then?
Second oldest.
Second oldest. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So am I. And of how many?
8.
There you go. Yeah. So that
Yeah.
I could imagine then being in the older side, you would just have a lot of like, not to say power over the young ones, but yeah, you're just so much older than them. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a gap too. So it's like the 4 olders and then the 4 youngers.
Yeah.
But yeah, Conrad, he's the youngest of the older group.
Yeah. Yeah.
But dude, me and him, we're best friends.
That's cool, man.
Like,
I
we're
like that.
best friends. We do everything together.
Dude, that's just how it is, man. So that's me and my brother, man. Totally. My brother Ben. We just always kind of were. What it was interesting was that we weren't until I went away to college. And then I came back and I was like, well, he's not too bad. Or then it was like, he needed to kind of grow up.
Mhm.
I think I was like an older soul, and I was always I had to grow up very early, and I think so in my household, it was 3 boys and then the youngest girl. And so it was just different for the youngest 2 versus the oldest 2. And I think it's a lot of it is like the parental situation and even the parental finances, the finances of the family is just different when you're the oldest kids because the parents, will progress their careers usually and they'll kind of have a different situation for the younger ones. It
Mhm.
was definitely like that. And I felt myself falling in more of a situation like you that I was like a caretaker and a raiser of children as a child, you know?
Mhm.
And it's kind of also too is like that's probably why even might try to and I always try to do this again, being raised by mentally ill people, trying to understand the psychology between because why are you such a hustler? Why? You just are, right? I mean, it's something within you that's driving you to do that,
Yeah.
right? And so I mean, it's like one of those things is that maybe some things we were born with and some things are kind of learned by our environment. And so that might have the environmental situation may have been okay, you were part of the older section of the brood, you may at one time have to take care of the younger ones,
Mhm.
And so it's like, so how are you going to do that? And in my mind, it was I need to make money. How and in my house, that's money ruled. Like money was more important than people in some ways, right? Because they didn't have enough of it. So it was like I knew that in order to secure the future, even for my siblings, I needed to make money. Even as a young kid, like like you were talking about, this is selling the
Yeah, dude.
rocks, bro. Selling,
Painted rocks,
yeah,
man.
man. And that is, see, that's like hustler. See, you're taking it now to another level, man. Like I like to think that I was an enterprising young kid, man, but I feel like that was just taking it. Tell that story. Did you have you told that
I
before?
haven't told I don't think I've told it, man, but
That's a wonderful. Please.
yeah, yeah. So growing up, I used to paint rocks, and I can remember exactly too. I used to paint rocks, like I would find it in my front yard or whatever, and I'd go to the end of the driveway and I'd sell them.
Yeah,
Or like my mom would have a garage sale, and I'd sell them to people for like 25 cents, 50
yeah,
cents.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, man, those 25 cents, like that's
They just stack up,
the
stacking
stack up,
chips, man.
dude. And back then it's like,
Stacking
yeah, I
rocks.
could go buy like whatever toy I wanted or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, I
yourself, and you.
I actually never really bought stuff
Yeah,
younger. Like I saved all my money till
yeah,
I was like 60, like 14,
yeah,
15.
yeah,
I had like a lot of money. I just saved everything.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is gonna come in
That's so
handy.
that's so funny is that I did the same thing,
Yeah.
right? It was like I needed that money and I wasn't gonna waste it, especially when you start earning it, right?
Hmm.
Because when you earn it, it's a little different than it was just
Yeah.
handed to you,
I was just
right?
holding on. I was like,
Because you hustled
yeah.
for that. You literally had to paint those rocks and then go in and hustle and sell them, man. Like
Yeah.
that's like hard earned money, like legit. Yeah, man. So I totally get it. And I was like that same spirit, but even like with the saving part, which is interesting, or even I took it to another level. And that even when I told you that I feel like I definitely grew up young. And even as a child, I just had to start taking on responsibility early, like whether it was caring for my siblings or even shouldering the emotional burden of my parents, right?
Hmm.
So I grew up, but I would get toys. I'd get these cool toys, and people would give me toys, but I wouldn't open them. I wouldn't play with them. I'd save them
Mm.
because they were going to be worth something someday. And so I wouldn't even allow, like, so even the child version of myself wouldn't open the toys that was valuable, and I wanted to retain its value to sell it at some later date. And so it's
Wow.
exactly the same thing,
Wow.
right? Like it's like
Yeah.
saving the money. So it's just an odd thing that why would I do that? But I wouldn't I
Yeah.
wouldn't allow myself to even play with the toys because it was money to be made from it. I
Huh.
don't know what that is, you know?
Wow.
And so it's interesting. Is the whole hustle nature, is it a something that is you're born with, or is it something that you learn? I don't know, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even your siblings, right? Like, so are your siblings then? Because then if you think about your siblings are almost like a little science experiment, right? Like all the different people, different personalities. Are there other personalities that resemble your own?
So far, not that I've seen.
Interesting.
Everybody's different though, and
Interesting,
it's really
right?
cool.
That's cool though.
My older brother, he's in the Navy. My younger sister, she makes some music actually sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
She does that for fun, but she's going to college. She's gonna do what is it? Totally spacing. She wants to be a forensics
Oh, okay.
investigator or
That's
something.
cool. Yeah,
Conrad, he's kind of figuring this stuff out now.
yeah,
He bought this course that I bought. It was like how to start an agency and whatever.
yeah,
But he's like, he comes to me all the time. He's like, James, I don't know where to go.
yeah.
I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like figuring it out. And I'm like, that's okay, man. You don't have to know what you want to do right now, you know? And he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he bought this course and he was like, Jameson, should I buy this course? And I'm like, he got all hyped up because he watched the YouTube videos or
Yeah.
whatever, and the
Yeah.
guy's selling it to him or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Of
he's
course.
like,
Of
dude,
course.
this is awesome. But I'm like, you know what? Like, you don't have bills to pay. You don't have anything to worry about. Like, why not go down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
just try it. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But at least it lets you know what you don't want to do,
Exactly.
you know? And it's like, he keeps coming to me every day. He's like, Jameson, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I want to do it.
Yeah.
That's okay, man. Just go down it. And he's like,
Yeah.
now he's in this process of the program where he's like, the guy's like, all right, you need to find your vision. What do you see yourself doing in the future? What do you want to do? What are you passionate about? Like, what lifestyle do you want to have? And he's like, I don't know. And I feel like that's like what a
Yeah.
lot of people have. Like, they don't know.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't visualize where they want to be. They just kind of let life happen.
Yeah.
And then they look back like 20 years.
Yeah. Why did it
in
happen
the-
like
in the
that?
future, and they're
It's
like, what happened? What did I do with my life? You know?
Yeah. What did you do?
So it's
Oh.
like, if you are listening today, I guess, if somebody is listening today, like, and they don't know where they want to go, and they just like, you know, figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, like, go down. If
Yeah.
you have an interest in something, try it out. Like with Bearded Skate, man. Like, I knew since I like was a little kid, I was like, I want to start a business. I want to do it, you know, but I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I just knew like I want to be rich or whatever. Right?
Like everybody, man.
Yeah.
Me too, actually.
Yeah.
I want to be rich too, and I want it just handed to me. I don't
Yeah.
want to. I definitely don't want to earn it, man, because that's too hard.
Yeah. I love to create things,
Yeah.
and I was like, I want to with Bearded Skate, I wanted to create a community.
Yeah, which is cool, man. That's what I'm about. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, man.
And it's like, it didn't work out because it was like ended up not being necessarily the business model that I want to use.
Yeah.
But I got to learn so many cool things from it, you know, like
Yeah.
so many different things that I would have never learned if I never even tried it.
Yeah.
You know, and like all these other like small businesses or whatever that I've tried in the past, it's like none of that was wasted time.
Yeah.
At least I got to walk away with an understanding of what, you know, what I like to do, what I don't like to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all benefits.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And I'm even when I told a little bit about myself, like my own profession, man. So like these, like the jobs that I've had is I've learned that pretty much like end to end a whole profession. Like I could go and work in accounting. I could go and work and be, you know, kind of in operational finance. I could go and be in business development and just focus on only that. But it was like, I was just interested in learning. Like,
Mhm.
and I would be exposed to something like, and even my progression, like, so I got into my first profession, right, was accounting. And I only got into that because my mother was a bookkeeper. My grandfather was a CPA. I knew that. And my grandfather was a CPA, was rich. And I was like, yeah, sign me up. That's what I need to do. Fine. I'll do that. I didn't want to do that. And it is funny. People say accounting. They think that that's all like math. No, it's money.
Mhm.
And it was funny. I was terrible at math. I was terrible. But when you put it in the context of money, oh,
I could do it
I
now.
love, yes, now.
Yeah.
And now I can. So then I learned pretty much everything about accounting, right? Like full cycle bookkeeping. But then even from a corporation perspective, it was like going through and, you know, like I said, learning the ins and outs of all these different kind of jobs, even within the accounting profession.
Mhm.
There's a ton of different kind of accounting functions. And I just went from function to function and eventually just learned enough that I'm like, okay, I learned it all. Now it's really boring. It's like, so too is like how my personality works is that I'm so, I'm like a high performer and I'm like an overperformer, overachiever, you know, I want to be the best like we talked about. But then once I learn everything, I'm not growing anymore.
Yeah.
And now I'm almost disruptive because you're not using me to my fullest potential. I'm not learning and I'm not, because what's funny is every time I jumped jobs, I would understand the inefficiencies of the processes and procedures that were in place. And so I'd fix it and I would make it efficient. And then I jump to this new job and lo and behold, there's all this stuff, all this messed up stuff I need to fix. And in doing so, I learned all about kind of the more finance side, because the way it goes with accounting is it's really like the bean counting, right? Like the actual performance of the business, the tracking of the historical financials, right? Then you start talking about finance. Finance is now the long-term planning of the organization. It's figuring out, okay, now that we've made all this money and accounted for it, what do we spend it on? Right? You spend it to grow the business. You want to grow that top line sales revenue. How do you grow it? Well, maybe you buy a new product. Maybe you develop something internally. Well, how much money is that going to make? How much can we spend on it? And so then it was like, oh, well, I'm interested in that. Wait a minute, you're telling me I could now plan the future of the business? Okay, I'm interested. Now I'm jumped into finance then from accounting. And then I learned everything about finance, of how now to figure out and keep the commercial people in check that they're spending money on the right things to drive top line sales revenue and really benefit the company. So I learned end to end that entire process, jumping from job to job, fixing things along the way, making things more efficient. Then eventually I got into like project management and business development, but then you start talking about business development. And I always dreamed that I would kind of be in a business development. I mean, you should hear that, you know, even for the listeners, what that really means. Imagine this as like you hear mergers and acquisitions. It's like the buying and selling of companies or licensing of technology. Anyway, so if you ever heard of the movie Pretty Woman, you ever heard of the movie Pretty Woman? Have you heard of this? It's some 90s, man. It's some early 90s too. So it's like, and I get it. And it's Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, and which are old. I mean, they're old now, right? And so I totally understand that you don't know what this movie is. Anyway, so in the movie, right? And I'll just kind of explain it at the high level. So Julia Roberts is a call girl / prostitute, right? And Richard Gere is a wealthy businessman, right? And that's how they meet, right? And what's interesting is about this Richard Gere his character, right? So his story, when they met, and he's kind of telling her his story, is that he was also in business development, mergers and acquisitions. And so what they did, and I don't know if you probably never seen the movie Wall Street either. So essentially what they do is that they dismantle companies. So let's just say an airline. Let's say this airline has all these planes, right? They have like, 1,000 planes, and every plane is worth however many millions of dollars. So on paper, this airline is worth, call it $100 million, right? But let's just say you add up all the value of all the stock, right, of the company is 50 million. So let's just say I can go and buy all the stock of the company for $50 million. And then guess what? You own the company, right? What's the company worth? It's really worth 100 million. So now you can just sell off the pieces. So Richard Gere's character is like, so he made his first $1 million dismantling his father's company. He took it apart.
Oh.
Yeah. That just kind of shows you what a gangster he is. He was like, yeah, he's like, it was his company that I wanted. And he took down his own father. It was just such an interesting thing. And I'm like, whoa, like that's interesting. The buying and selling of companies.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, that's interesting stuff.
Yeah. I mean, because like I said, the value of the company versus the accumulated value of all the stock. Anyway, so that's like corporate rating. That's what like a lot of that happened in the 80s and stuff, man, where companies would they call it like a hostile takeover, where companies would go and buy up all the stock, and now they have a controlling interest of the company, and they can now sell off the assets if they want. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. If you're not into finance and all that stuff, it's probably but so I was interested in that. And so I had the opportunity to work in business development. So it's the same company, right? So it's an eye care company in Fort Worth. It was now, so you have the function of business development will say we have X number of millions of dollars. Well, what do you do with those millions, right? We have scientists that work for the company. We could fund research and development ourselves. We could develop our own products. We have scientists. We got all this stuff. Give them $20 million. We're looking for this type of product. We could give our scientists that $20 million, and they can try to make it, see how it happens. Or there's a company that exists out there that have it, and we can just go buy that company. But how much can we pay for them? And how much can we acquire the company for? Does it make sense for us to make it with our scientists, or should we just go buy it? How much could we pay for it, right? And figuring that out and guiding now the corporate strategy of developing something internally or going and paying for it. And so that was interesting to me. So I spent some years doing that, and then kind of running transactions and figuring out. And then even after we did the deals, like managing those strategic alliances, like with these people, because we just bought their company and now they're kind of on the hook. And so it's just a very interesting thing. So it was like, again, in my own career progression, I learned as much as I could from everything. And then eventually you just kind of hit a glass ceiling that I'm no longer learning, I'm no longer growing, and I'm not fixing inefficient processes. And so that's what my personality is all about. And so then I jumped in, I got into more of marketing. I was doing like digital marketing. So then there's a digital side of my company. And so it was more marketing and business operations. So that's really what I've been doing now is like, so they have just at a very high level, they have all these different pieces of physical equipment that do eye surgery today. Like imagine a LASIK surgery or cataract surgery. They make the machines that do it. And so now it's like, okay, well, if you think about digital and AI and machine learning, it's like, well, we should get better with predicting patient outcomes. Like, hey, man, because what we do, we sell contact lenses, we sell intraocular lenses, which are like the actual, we have like a natural crystalline lens. It's like a lens of a camera, right? So we have a natural lens in our eye. What happens is sometimes a cataract will form and it impairs your vision. So what they do is to remove the cataract, they remove your crystalline lens, your natural lens, and they put in an artificial one.
Mm.
And it could be a monofocal or, you know, advanced technology. So there's all these cool stuff that they can do. Anyway, so it's all, I'm trying to think of where I was going with that. like why I was even getting into that. But yeah, anyway, so just learning all about that. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm in this digital. So imagine that you have all these physical pieces of equipment. All of them are like generating data. What do we do with that data? How can we then throw that into some type of algorithm that could then benefit the outcomes of people actually getting surgery? So it's like cool. It's pretty cool. It's totally different. And it is interesting to me. And I'm continuing to grow and learn about stuff that I never knew. You know, so
Yeah.
I'm still kind of on this personal journey of like, I need to just be entertained with new knowledge and new opportunities to improve like messed up processes, man. Because it's like even in this job, I'm still fixing finance stuff. I'm fixing all these different things that are inefficient and doesn't make sense. It's like that's what business operations is in my job. In my mind, it's like, dude, this is inefficient. Like, what? How can we operate like this? And so then I help them fix it. And then also like going through like organizationally, getting up in front of the leaders of the organization and saying, "There's a problem. Oh, but the good news is I've already fixed it. I just need your approval." Sign the dotted line and I will implement
Yeah.
it and fix it. You know, so it's like, anyway, so it's like I have all I've just kind of gotten all that skill and stuff through my whole career. But like I said, I feel like I'm now even hitting the glass ceiling on my ability to make an impact, you know, beyond just what I've done at work to date. And so thinking about alternative outlets for that, I mean, Revolt has been a huge one because I get a chance to like, you know, impact people that I never would have come in contact, man. When I go and hustle at these, whether it's an art fair or whatever, man, like the tattoo conventions, I'm meeting strangers, man, and just like making connections. And it's amazing. And it's just like,
Yeah.
I want to like foster that. But then, like I said, again, like when people are figuring out their own story, always learn. Like you said, go down the rabbit hole, like immerse yourself in it, really learn about it.
That's
You
yeah, I
know?
wanted to really emphasize this part and I wanted to have you talk about this. Well, talk about it
Yeah.
for a little bit. Learning. Like that's just such a like when I was going through school, I hated learning. I was like, I never want to learn anything ever again.
I think I just hated school.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
just
like the
hated-
learning.
I
I just hated
hated
the
school.
school, man.
Yeah.
I think it was just the school
Yeah.
aspect.
And then once I started learning about like, something I'm interested in,
Yeah.
completely
You
different
know, I just
story.
learned like the subjects,
Holy
yeah.
cow, I love learning, dude.
yes.
And that's what I feel like stops a lot of people is learning because everybody hates learning these days, or it's either they hate learning or there's so much to learn.
Yep.
They're like, it's like a mountain.
Yeah.
How do I even start?
Yeah. It's maybe not applicable to your life. Like a lot of, and I kind of have a beef with our school system, man. Like if you think about even like leading up to graduating high school, and what I was pleasantly surprised to hear is that there is much more like than when I was a kid, as far as exposing kids to things that are really applicable in the real world, right? Like I always am like get up on a soapbox when I'm like, yeah, we're teaching our kids physics, but we're not teaching them like personal finance.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why aren't we teaching our kids things that they need to learn to be like really solid adults? And they've got to have just basic skills. You've got to teach them like, it's like even
Mhm.
just setting up their life. And if there was no adults and now they turn 18, how do you set up your life? Well, you got to set up your phone. You got to set up all these things. You might even have to make deposits because you have no credit. Like, do you understand what credit is? Okay, we need to get you some. Like, it's just like there's all these things that I feel like that from like 14, 15, they need to be on a path of like, okay, here in the next couple of years, you're going to be an adult and you really need to have like just a baseline of skills, even just very basic skills for these things in order to get there. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I feel like it's the relatability to the topics that is unfortunate, right? Because it's almost like I feel like if children have a natural inclination to be very technical with like computers, then we need to be teaching them computer languages very early, right? Like I mean, very early. Like they need to be like learning that right alongside with math and science, right? Because chances are they're not going to be a scientist. Like I had to go through chemistry, biology, like all of these things. I'm not a scientist. I don't think, I mean, it's good, some basic stuff. Yeah, it's good that we understand very basic preliminary stuff, but I didn't need all the specificity if I was not going to use it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's
right?
like there's like a no, I
Right?
100%. I mean, I feel like kids aren't learning what they're interested in
Yeah.
or like what they need to learn. It's kind of just like a basic curriculum. And
Yeah.
which I was looking into this. There's like a long story to like the reason why we have the curriculums that we have today,
Mhm.
and crazy rabbit hole to get into.
Yeah.
I'm some people call me conspiracy theorist, but it's not a theory if it's real, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. When you see it,
But like,
yeah,
yeah,
you like
and
see
it's
it. Yeah, you've
real
gone through it.
stuff.
And like, I
Yeah.
mean, when you go through a whole education, it's like, I look back and say, there was a ton that I did not need to
Yeah.
suffer through, like, because I wasn't going to use it. And I feel like if we can start identifying skills and even paths for children,
Mm-hmm.
like, even like early teenage, like
Yeah.
on the path to really give them, especially if they're interested in it.
Yeah.
Like, so imagine like, and it was cool. So my daughter is actually starting high school next year. So it was so cool. They did the orientation and they actually have different paths that they can choose, even to the point where if you want to go down a medical path, they'll not only will you be a part of some medical courses, but they even work with an agency that you can do internships to actually like go and work with a nurse and
That's awesome.
understand like what it is. If that's the type of job you want, well, let's get some real world experience and actually start your resume. Like it's cool. Like, and so that
Mm-hmm.
I love that, but I still almost feel like it's even too late by just saying high school. I feel like there still is even things that we could be doing earlier that are really putting people on a path that, I mean, even like mathematics, you have to understand is that you're only going to need a certain level of mathematics in a real world scenario. And like even like with me, like being in accounting and finance, I'm using at the most some complex algebra, right? To do like financial metrics and a lot of different stuff. Like it's not that complicated. And maybe I was on a business path. I shouldn't have been subject to all this. They could have easily like exposed me to things that really would have been valuable. Because what sucks is that I feel like people get through high school and maybe college isn't for them. And dude, I get it. It's an expense, and what do you really get out of it at the end? I mean, it's totally, and you hear a lot of talk with that now and just in our culture, and it's make a lot of good points. What do you get? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and what are you guaranteed other than just a mountain of debt on now that you're trying to just, work off forever. So it's like, yeah, man, I feel like I'm trying to think where I was going with that. Yeah, man. But I just feel like it's just, it's a shame. Oh, okay. That's what it is that it's just a shame that because I feel like kids might even drop out of education. Let's just say don't pursue higher education because they're not really seeing what the value, what's it really going to be like in the real world? Because there might be somebody who's truly like just a natural salesman, right? But they're probably, maybe school isn't for them. But dude, if you're a natural salesman, man, it's a very certain personality type to be a very good salesman. Yeah, I mean, you know, or in marketing, or I mean, like it's a very specific kind of person who can thrive. And I feel like even some of these people, they may just not have hung on long enough to find that. Wait a minute, I'm kind of interested in that, and I could be good at that.
Yeah.
And so they don't even have the opportunity to understand if they're good at it because they're already
Yeah.
done. They
Yeah.
want to start working. Yeah, but I need money. I need money like today, like yesterday. So no, I don't have money to go to college. And again, the reason why, I mean, so I came from a working family, and my mom told me like early on that you're going to college. It wasn't like a choice, right? I was going to college, and I was like, yeah, of course. I don't want to I don't want to be like you. So yeah, I'm going to college and I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
have a career. I'm gonna work in corporate America and I'm gonna do all this stuff. thinking that was the path, that was the way to go. But I mean, to be totally honest, man, with the resources that people have, I mean, just with the internet, man, with YouTube, that you can go on and truly immerse yourself in content to truly end to end learn something, at least learn it well enough that you can almost like start to attempt it yourself. I mean, that's amazing. So I feel like when it comes to your ability to further your own hustle, whatever that is, if it's, like I said, professionally or whatnot, or in like an actual business enterprise, you have so much resources just at your disposal. Dude, start with that.
Yeah.
Or the community college. How about that, man? Like, let's just like, before you like go to a 4-year college and you're not really set on like what you want to do, dude, take a couple classes at the community college. See if college is even for you. Because if it's not, maybe it's like a technical school. Like, because that's what I'm saying, man. Is I was telling you, I would rather, honestly, going back, and working for 20 years to get where I'm at, I would have much rather, maybe I should have went into HVAC, and learned about, and I was living in Florida at the time, would have made sense. And so, but learning that and then at working for a few years, learning a trade, right? Learning everything there is to know about this trade. Then you start your own business. You start your own business. And now, right. And then you can build a company, build a team, right? Accumulate a revenue base that's now valuable as just a standalone entity that could be sold. That's what I was telling you. I was like, yeah, build an HVAC business. Yeah. Get it up to a certain amount of revenue and sell it. Right. And get a huge payday. And then you know what? Turn around the next day and open up another one and do it again. like stuff like that,
My buddy, he was talking to me about this recently. He was like, oh my gosh. And let me tell you, like when I get excited about something, I go down the rabbit hole, man. Like I go deep into it. So like with this podcast, with this whole like topic stuff that I was talking about.
Yeah.
I got super excited about this topic. I shut everything down. I'm like not on socials. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just all my free time is.
That's good, man. That's like that's dedication, like, bro.
When I get excited, I'm excited. So my buddy, he's like, has me over and he's like, Jameson, we need to start a company. Like we need to start something. If you think about it, you could get all this stuff on Alibaba or whatever. You could resell it. You could repackage it and whatever.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about skate wax. He was trying to do it for like Bearded Skate. Bearded Skate's my baby. I'll never do that about Bearded Skate.
Yeah.
But for like another company, he was like, dude, we could just get all these products, like resell them and figure out like marketing and whatever and sell the company and then do it all over again.
Yeah.
And then sell the company. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is an awesome business idea. Like this is a sweet look at like business model. Oh man, I didn't go too much into it because it was taking a lot of my energy, but
yeah.
I was like, as much as I wanted to start another thing, I have to like focus on what I'm already doing because I've got so much potential with what I'm doing already.
Yeah.
And what I've my history has been is like I start a project, I get this far with it, and then I stop and start for another one that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
So like with this podcast, this has been like I'm amazed I've made it this far because and with the roofing and stuff, I'm like, I was like, I'm just gonna start this company. I'm just gonna start doing this or this or this, and then I'm like, no, I'm gonna stick with what I'm doing because I have so much potential doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
I just have to like keep going with it instead of just start the next thing.
Yeah, you don't want to
always done.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. If you can keep like multiple irons in the fire at the same time, that's always good because then you're diversifying. It's like it's always good to have a couple hustles going because one might pop off and the other one's, so it's always good to diversify with anything. But yeah, man, it's just like, well, but then again, like, so I totally understand what you're saying is to definitely finish something, but then again, if
you don't like it, if it's not for you,
then cut
your
losses and then
try something.
Yeah, exactly. Then it makes sense to like, I know I really tried it. I gave it my all, and I feel, and I'm proud of my effort, and like, but I'm also proud to say that I'm done with it.
Yeah,
dude, that is totally makes sense. I mean, more power to you. Really to focus on what is the thing that really drives you and that you want to invest your time in. We're kind of on the path, always on the path for that, but. Yeah, that's what I was telling you. I was like, you may not be like always like working on Bearded Skate, man, but you'll always have Bearded Skate. That's just like I might go on and do something different than Revolt, but man, you're damn right, I'll always have Revolt. I will always be Revolt in one way or another. Like there's no there's no stopping that, man.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, it's funny. So what would be interesting is where do you see kind of the podcast or like what is because and then I'm gonna ask you something that's almost kind of odd because it's you don't know, you know, but it's almost like when you start down with an endeavor, you do it for a reason,
Mhm.
you know, like you have a vision of what you're trying to accomplish, and then as you set up goals for yourself, you kind of continue to tick off the tasks leading to what would be success,
And
and
then
then you
add
achieve it,
more.
and then yeah, and you keep
Yeah.
filling the pipeline, man. So as far as the podcast, have you given any thought? And again, it's totally cool to be like, I had no idea, man, because I don't really even know. Like when it comes to Revolt, like what am I doing? I don't really know. I know it feels good, or like I feel like I'm moving forward and I'm getting better the more that I'm attempting and all of that. And I don't really know yet. But do you have like a vision or some like ultimate goal that you're trying to achieve?
So, have you heard any of my recent ones by any chance?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I listened to a couple like probably like a month and a half. I'm trying to think of the because you release them, so I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I started this because of a vision that
Yeah.
I felt like I no that I have had
Yeah.
since I was like 8 years old.
Really.
Yeah. I started this because I knew what like I had this vision of what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it ties in with my religion and stuff like
Hmm.
I know what the end goal is.
Yeah.
I know that I've always had a passion to help people.
Yeah.
And I've like, yeah, that's always what I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
But with my religion, like I know what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
And recently I was praying about it and I didn't know how to get there.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't, like I don't know what that means because I felt like in this vision, I'm like talking to teenagers,
Mhm.
like a pastor.
Yeah.
And I was like, growing up, I was like, no way I'm gonna be a
Yeah.
pastor.
Yeah.
Screw that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I just kept getting the vision, and so recently I've become more and more religious.
Mhm.
But with this podcast, I started it because like recently I've gotten out of like so much mental like a mental battle,
Mhm.
with depression, anxiety, like being suicidal for a long time.
Yeah.
And like I was like, you know what? I can help somebody else with that.
Like flip it, like flip
Yeah.
your own anguish into something positive
Yeah.
for the world.
And so it's like I went down this journey like a year ago, 2 years ago almost. No, a year ago
Mhm.
about just like trying to become a better version of myself
Mhm.
every day. And like I just felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Mhm.
And it might not be what I'm supposed to do forever,
Yeah.
but I know that this is what I'm supposed to do right now.
That's awesome, man.
And it's like I feel like it's building my skills, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I feel like it's interesting that you say like a vision, but it's just because I feel like things come to us at certain times, and people can look at it as coincidental, but you don't need to. It could be like something, some path, and generally, lots of sometimes we use religion in order to kind of justify the path or to kind of
Yeah.
explain, what you went through.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Again, it doesn't need to be. There could be things at work that us as humans we have no, we have no way to rationalize or understand. But it's like I feel like when we receive those gifts of direction or exposure to something that kind of like I said just comes upon it finds us. It's almost like I feel like you got to follow that, man, and really got to hold on to it because it is most likely real, and it's just like there is a reason for it, man, so just run with it. It's
Mhm.
just like if it feels right, then do it, man. Like even what
Mhm.
you're talking about, and I think a lot of people probably again don't really have something as profound as yours in which you truly had a vision, but even just an inkling, like a feeling,
Yeah.
again, a passion as to something, and just to follow it, man, even in the cheapest way possible. Like, as a lot of times, we put up barriers for ourselves. Like as humans, I feel like we're really good at making excuses and building barriers for ourselves,
Yeah.
right? That limits our potential and limits us. And we can justify it a million ways as to why we can't do something.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm telling you, I deal with this all the time because I live with my 14-year-old, and she literally is just a carbon copy, I feel like, of me. So then I'm having to I'm like have to kind of convince myself at 14 to like go a different way than your true, like, your nature, because she loves to write the end of the story before it even happens. She'll say, "Oh no, I can't because of XYZ." It's like, come on. No, I call BS on that, because you don't even know. You haven't even tried. You're writing the end of the story based on your own emotion about right now. It's like, you need to follow that. Or you know what? Don't. Fine, just don't.
Yeah.
If that's the way you're going to do every time that an opportunity will present itself to you, and you're consciously going to say, "No, I won't," for this laundry list of reasons, then fine. Then don't.
Yeah.
But don't come and complain, when you're 80 and your life, and you didn't do anything with your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because we're given opportunities, but it's on us to reach out and to grab them,
100%.
whatever it is, bro. And it's like, don't let, and I got to say this, man, because I know all of us, it doesn't matter your age, we all have regret, right? And it's like, it's good to experience regret when you're 20 years old, because you're not going to want to experience it again. And you learn that lesson, and it's like, man, maybe next time you'll pursue, or you'll do whatever. Because lots of times, man, these are just our own mental blockades that we're convincing ourselves we can't for whatever reason. And some of it could be psychological, man. It could be trauma, past trauma. People have been, whether it's told you're not good enough, or, it's even, or more severe, right? And it's just like, it's those blockades too, that it's important to cope around, and kind of, be able to still progress your life, and it's hard, man. Everyone has a different path and a different story.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, and I feel like mine could put you to tears, but yet I stand here still progressing, still fighting for something that's bigger than myself. And I will continue to do that, as will you, and we choose that. And I don't care how hard it is. And I don't care how long it takes. It doesn't matter. It's just, it's an inevitability. It will happen. It will just take time. But I won't be broken. I just have to wait. I just have to keep doing what I'm doing and show up every day. That's it, And so it's like, everybody has the ability to do anything in this world that you put your mind to. I don't care what anyone tells you, right? Because I've always fought against, it's funny, I feel like I've always been told that I couldn't by everybody,
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I was too this, I was too that, I was too poor, I was too fat, I was too stupid, It's like, and if you start listening to that, some people do, and then, they kind of wither into despair, but it didn't matter. I was going to progress, and I was going to grow, and I was going to do all the things that I need to do in this world. And I didn't even know at the time what that even was, but I knew I wasn't going to listen to the negative, and I was going to push on. And I wasn't going to deal with I could have cried sorrow. Oh, poor me. I was born into this poor family. Right. And I had all this, like I said, a difficult upbringing, and even my own personal struggles with alcoholism and drug addiction, things like that. But dealing with, like I said, a family of that, and surviving and getting through that. But it's like something that, a lot of times we don't realize, is that we are so lucky that we were born in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just think about this country, man, where you can have nothing and create something, right? Just based on your own sweat. You can do anything in this world that you want to. You just got to have the plan and just the mental fortitude to get it done day after day. And just knowing with the faith that you will accomplish your goal. It will just take time. But I'm telling you, other people will see that in you, right? And they will believe in you, because it's like, that's almost like when you kind of reach that, like a flow state, or like people recognize and they'll invest, right? Like they'll see your struggle and they will believe in you when you don't believe in you. And it's like, that's when somehow, and again, like those signs, it's like, it's always been when I'm almost at my lowest, that a stranger will come and just turn my life around there for a minute. And it's like, you know what? That's why I'm doing this. That's why. All this other stuff, ancillary, man. It's just stuff that you're always going to deal with. Focus on the end goal. Focus on the true purpose. Don't live in the today. Today, you got bills to pay. There's everything. And the anxiety and depression, of course. Yeah, that's today. But focus on the long term.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've always dealt with like anxiety and depression. I mean, like I said, I come from a family of like mentally ill people, and so it's like it's always been something to deal with. And getting coping skills, right? Like I feel hopefully even the listeners, man, because if they're tuning into a lot of the programs that you make, it's about kind of those coping skills and like understanding even your own psychological disorders and understanding that it's not it's not just you, or it's not just it's like providing that no, it's a community of people and we're all getting through it, and we're
Yeah.
all finding our way to deal with our baggage of our past and whatever like we went through to get here today. You got to focus, man, on the future. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you got to kind of figure out a way to cope with the past, but then build the future that you want and that you deserve, that has nothing to do with your past. And you've got to just walk away from the past. And sometimes it's people, sometimes it's whatever, but you have to focus on you, and the future life and family that you'll create one day, if that's what you want, and go towards that, and work. Like, dude, don't, it's like, how many jobs do I need? Like, in order, like, so how I was raised, man, like my dad was a worker. He was a worker, man. It's like, he provided like the, I don't know, he showed me what it was to be a man. And if he did, it was that you worked and provided. Even to the point where I had my own daughter, there would be a no, we can't pay the bills. It doesn't matter if I'm working multiple fast food jobs. It doesn't matter if I'm just don't sleep. It will get done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, don't be afraid to work hard because it will not come for free. So just know that if you really want something, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be days where you want to quit, and you just have to focus and like power through that, man. And that's like when the support structure comes in too, is like having people in your life that really, it's like for me, it's like my best friend is my wife, man. And she knows when I'm getting in a bad place, or if I'm even kind of almost obsessing too much on any one thing, and she'll kind of help right me. So it's like even surrounding yourself with people who, are true friends, who truly want what's best for you, man. And honestly, you can usually count those on one hand, or less. I think I have a couple people in
Yeah.
my life, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that are true. Not I have this many friends or connections or followers. I'm talking with real people, man. Real life shit stuff. Anyway, I think it's an important thing, man. It's just like, and yeah, the progression of yourself is like really also too, is that surrounding yourself with the right people. Like,
It's a huge thing.
yeah, I mean, you're surrounded. You'll become like the people that you kind of you keep, man. The
100%.
company you keep,
Yep.
right? And it's just like, so sometimes it'll be real clear, and you have to learn that as a young person, right? Of like the company you keep,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that kind of that fact, man. And then honestly, like I said, I grew up poor, so it was like I grew up in you know around like not great people. And I knew that even as a kid, I knew that like even the friends that I kept were not my real friends. These were kind of like friends of the moment. It was like, but I didn't want to be like them. I didn't want to kind of travel down some dark paths that I saw, and I lost people, and it was just like, I don't want that, man. And again, I didn't want that for my future family, my future life. So I had to make choices when I was your age to go on a path. And I'm definitely not perfect. Like I said, man, just battling with alcoholism and stuff. It's like, I had to come get through a lot of drama myself. But then at the other end, I feel like I'm at such a better place. But then a part of that, man, was saying goodbye to a lot of people in my life, people who were
Yeah.
who were toxic,
Yeah.
and even family that was toxic. And it's like, you need to worry about yourself and your own mental health and kind of the safety and security of your family, your immediate family, the people who support on you on the daily, and that's what's important. So it's just like, it's just kind of coming to grips with a lot of that is hard, and kind of trying to figure some of that out, man, is difficult. I'm the first one to say, or even impossible, but it's like, are you not going to fight? Are you not going to try to like enjoy your life and like do what feels right and do, you know, I don't know, man. I choose to fight,
100%.
you know,
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing it.
So, quick rewind to when you were talking about being successful and stuff. the reason why.
Mhm.
One of the craziest things, you were talking a little bit about your reason why. And I kind of want to share a little bit about my reason why.
Mhm.
Because I haven't ever, I don't think I ever shared that
Yeah, do it.
publicly.
Yeah, do
I've
it.
shared it to a couple people, but
Yeah.
like my goal, it's like, I don't know if I have a 100% plan yet, but like you wanted money, right?
Mhm.
I want to be successful.
Yeah.
And I've tried all these different ways to do that. And the reason why I want to be successful is because like I mean, number one, I always feel like I'm not good enough,
Mhm.
like for myself.
Yeah.
I'm like I have to be better,
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
But also it was that even now, but like growing up my whole life, it was always like you can't do that. You're too young.
Mhm.
You can't you're not going to do that. You're too young. You're trying to sell this, you're trying to start a company, you're trying to
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You're too young. And it's like growing up my whole like I've been told I'm too young forever. And it's like, I don't know, man. I just have a drive. I want to be successful
Yeah.
and I know it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Of course, man. I mean,
And
you got that drive. I mean, honestly, like I said,
yeah.
I had never seen that before, and that's why it was so odd to me. That's why I almost had to double click in, and be like, "Tell me more. Like, what are you doing over here, man? You're 17, man. Like, this is a little too much." No, but it's like that. But and actually, let's take even a step back, man. What you were talking about never being good enough. That I think is somehow is in line because I have the exact same thing. It's
Yeah.
like there's no amount or measurement of success that will ever make me good enough for myself.
I know.
It will.
Yeah.
It is not. I will set goal and I will surpass goal after goal, but I will never be good enough for myself.
100%.
And honestly, and it's something I've been trying to work through, and I've had some some deep discussions with my younger brother on this, and it's I think that's even part of what drives us, right? Like, is that we are on this ultimate quest to somehow be good enough. But I would almost be scared if we ever achieved that, because then what? Maybe this is where even explaining in this conversation some of that hustle culture as to why. Because by the time I'm about to complete a goal, I'm literally already the way I like to describe it with Revolt is I just climbed a mountain. I climbed a mountain and I literally stand on top of this giant mountain and I look and all I see is a bigger mountain. I want that mountain. I don't want this mountain, that one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I've even had this conversation, some of my weird like revolt, because it's almost like I can snap into this like alternate, like I can be very intense, like revolt, which, hey man, that's it within me. But it's like, I will build something and I will perfect it and I will love it, but then I must destroy it because I need to build it again, bigger. Like it never stops. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's
I
like, I don't know why that is, but
yeah.
I like it though, too.
That's
Right?
like exactly how I'm like I'm going to be so hard on myself. I'm going to do this, 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 this. I got all these goals. It's going to be insanely difficult,
Yeah.
and it's like, I do better than I thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but like with me, it's like when I achieve that thing that I've been working for so long,
Mm.
it's not like with the roofing right
Mhm.
now is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Let's say it takes a lot of time and effort just to get an inspection done.
Mhm.
If you're me, because
Yeah.
I suck at it.
Yeah.
But like I'll finally get it after weeks of knocking hundreds of doors. And it's like that person says yes, and I get the inspection. I'm like, it wasn't good enough.
Mhm.
And it's like I'll achieve that thing. I'll do that thing that I wanted to do, and I'm just like, it wasn't good enough.
Mhm.
I'm like I messed up here, 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 here.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's like I don't know, man. It drives me to be better.
Yeah.
And I do my homework for next time.
Yeah. Of
I'm
course.
like I'll never make that mistake again.
Yeah. And this may even be parts. I know you can probably relate to this. So it's like learning something. It's like you learn the pitfalls, like you're talking about, and then you
Mhm.
perfect it, and you
Yeah.
perfect it, and you perfect it, because what you're trying to do is guarantee the outcome. Is I put in the work, and I learned how to do this perfectly. I know everything that could go wrong. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do it perfect. And then it's almost like you're tempting the universe. And this is like, oh, the universe. You're tempting the universe to say, no, you don't get it, because you've gone through and painstakingly planned out exactly how you're going to get it. Ha, surprise, you don't get it. Right. And this is very difficult, for people, I would say people like us, right? Because I'm a meticulous planner and because I will guarantee success. Right?
Dude, you got to see my journal. I'm like, how I'm going to grow this podcast. I have step,
Yeah.
step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 with like sub steps and like every little detail on how I'm going to do it. I've got like what my future is going to look like. What does success look like for me?
Yeah.
Money freedom, time
Mhm.
freedom,
Mhm.
location freedom,
Oh yeah.
making an impact on somebody. I write out like, what do I want to do? I want to be creative. I want to help people. I want to this. I want to that. I want to this. Dude, I'm just plan everything
Yeah.
to the smallest detail. And
Yeah.
people are like, Jameson, you need to stop working so hard. Jameson, you need to take a break.
Yeah.
Jameson, like, you need to stop planning because it's never going to work out. It's just like,
No. See, so there's different. So it's almost like you need to, and so I feel like there's a happy medium, right? And so I'm more like you, and I'm naturally inclined to overdo it and to overplan because the more you you're increasing the probability of achieving the successful outcome that you're driving towards, right? Generally in your
Yeah.
mind, you're thinking about every minute of preparation, I'm guaranteeing yet a little bit greater probability of achieving my goal, right? Which works to a certain point, right? Because you have to be prepared for everything. Like, so it's almost like what they say is that luck is like when opportunity and preparation meet,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, so you have to realize that there's certain level of outcome that you can't control. Ha. It's like, you can't control. And so again, when you were talking about, it's a very controlling thing because if you can manipulate all of the different stimuli, you're guaranteed to achieve the reaction that you've put forth, right? And it's like, and so you're addicted to that preparation, and so am I, because I'm trying to drive to that successful outcome. And if I'm spending my time, I want the outcome.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but it's just so odd because you have to do a certain level of preparation, but then it's like, so you need like high level, like when you're just listing out your goals, like, yeah, to have money freedom, time freedom, impact people. Those are big generalizations and those are good to have.
But then you have to like go into
and then you
what that
operationalize.
means.
And then you try to
yeah.
operationalize those. And then which is good because then that's going to come with setting goals and like, and doing some of that. But again, you can't you got to do the work and the preparation, but you can't just overly try to control the outcome because that's not the way the universe. It's almost like the more you try to force it, the more it's like it's going to it's like reverse magnetism, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're now going to be guaranteeing that you're not going to get it because you're trying to force it so much. And bro, I am like, so I'm just like the old man telling you, if you continue, you're still going to be chasing something and it's still going to be always out of reach. So it's almost like do the homework like you're talking about. Do that preparation. Be ready to receive the good outcome, but don't ever think that it's guaranteed just because you did the work. Because it's just not because then you're setting yourself up then to be let down, which is going to trigger depression. And then you're going to live there for a little bit. You know what I mean? And then you're just going to want to quit because then it's like, well, I just did all this work and preparation and didn't get the outcome I wanted. Screw this, I quit. And so that's the quickest way to quit is to do something like that. But you got to realize, man, that things take time and that you will get what you want when it's not when you want it. It's that when it is kind of given to you, right? It's like when the universe aligns and then you get it, and you'll get it at the most random time that you weren't expecting it. And that, and it was right when you were supposed to. Right. And it's like but it's like I said, I don't want to just say, hey, just show up and then you'll get what you want.
Right.
I'm not saying that. You got to do the work, but you can't just guarantee and control the outcome. I mean, it's just always not going to work, or it might work for a very small percentage. Yeah. But it's like, you got to realize, man, that like there's some things at work that you can't control. Yeah. And you just got to roll with the punches, man, because it's also too is like getting a negative outcome. It may not be what you had in mind, but it doesn't mean it's bad. You've got to pivot. You always have to have a backup plans to your backup plans, which I'm sure you do that too. Oh, yeah. So then you pivot and then you make it, come out smelling like roses, like, or whatever. Just kind of like, maybe you didn't get exactly what you wanted, but hey, man, this is interesting. And you did something, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, man.
And I mean, like, one really cool thing that I've learned is like with all this planning, the outcome is never going to be the way that you planned it to be.
Yeah.
It's like, you can plan to the smallest detail, but it's never going to go exactly like that.
Yeah.
It might go completely different. The outcome itself might even change or might become completely different.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
But like in general, for somebody who like if you compare like somebody who's like, "Oh, I want to be rich." You know, have you ever like thought about this? Like I ask a kid like, "Hey man, what do you want to do?" "I want to be rich." "Okay, how are you going to do that?" "I don't know.
I don't
Working a 9 to
I don't know.
I don't know."
Work? Yeah, you don't really know.
Yeah. And it's like,
There's no formula for that.
"Okay, well, good luck."
And what's rich even mean? I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of ways that you
Yeah,
can get
there
there,
is. Yeah,
and
and you have to like
a lot of different mechanisms
that
there.
means a different thing for
Yeah,
different people. Yeah.
of course.
So like in my journal and stuff, like what I've put down, like with my goals and stuff, I'm like, I want to have time or whatever. I want to have yeah. It's like you define that for yourself. You know,
Mhm.
everybody has to define that for themselves.
Yes.
You know, like what does rich mean for you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You
I mean, it
know,
could be rich in people. It could be
yeah.
rich in. It doesn't have to be money. I mean, we always equate it in this country, right? As
Hmm.
Americans, we definitely equate it as money. And I think even the way I even defined it was it wasn't money just to be like Scrooge McDuck with all the money, swimming in the money. It wasn't about that. It was money meant security for the people that I love.
Yeah.
That's what it meant for me. It's like if I had money, then I knew that the people who I love would be protected. And I also knew, I mean, growing up with no money, I also knew that if I wanted a successful relationship, that we needed enough money because I literally sat and as a child and watched money kind of destroy the fabric of my parents' relationship because they would fight about money. And it was, like I said, it was very apparent that money was more important than the people, you know? And so it was like I understood that I needed a lot of money because I didn't want that stress. I knew that it was like with money comes conflict, right? And as a child, I knew that because we didn't have enough. And even like you, I would have been selling the rocks if I was. I wasn't as 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 I didn't have the ingenuity that you had. But I would have because even then I was figuring out ways. And again, my own quest for efficiency. I was figuring out ways that we could save money or we could somehow do something differently in order to ease the burden on my parents. And I was doing that as a little kid, you know.
Hmm.
Anyway, so it's just like understanding like how to do that. Yeah, that no one like sets, that this is the way you can do it. Now, honestly, like you could like the route that I described through corporate America and kind of like working for big corporations, dude, that is an avenue for doing that. And like when we start talking about money, like, right. And it's like my wife was working for pharmaceutical companies like when we met, and I was like, just lowly, AP clerk, like the lowest the lowest job in the accounting department. Didn't make nothing, making my little like $35,000 a year out of college. And I was like, wait a minute, you make how much? And I was like, wait a minute, and your benefits, wait a minute, you get what in benefits? Because then it's like I'm thinking, wait a minute, your company has accounting people. I'm working at some little mom and pop place. And I was like, wait a minute, your company has accounting people. I want to work in your company. And sure enough, it was like, oh yeah, that put me on the path to now, wait a minute, we get big bonuses and we get health insurance. I'd never had health insurance my entire life. We didn't have that. That was not something that restaurant people get in this country, you know?
Hmm.
And so anyway, it was just interesting, like the path to that, and everyone just kind of, I mean, like I said, the corporate America, the way of earning money is good. I mean, like I said, if you just want to make money, yeah, go start doing that, man. Or if you're good at selling or something like that, yeah, man, pharmaceutical sales and medical devices, the way to go. Like you make good money. But, are you going to end up like me and be middle aged and say, yeah, I'm making the good money, but I'm not doing anything to really like benefit mankind at all or anything, or even I mean,
Hmm.
I'm doing really well for my family, which is great. I mean, that's what I was about from the beginning. Right. But it's just like then as kind of I got older, it was more of like, yeah, but it's not just about my family. Like my talent isn't just for my family,
Hmm.
right? Like what I can do in this world isn't just for a few, it's for all, right? Like even so, I like the idea about all, right? So even I have this thing of like the pricing for Revolt, it's Revolt for all. It's like I wanted to, if I was going to have a clothing brand, it was going to be something that everyone could afford. People like me who growing up with parents didn't have nothing. Like, I wanted to make it attainable to people like me growing
Mm-hmm.
up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I just really believe in that, man. And like accessibility for all. Anyway, so but when it comes to like we were talking about like professions and stuff, like there's a lot of good stuff that comes from working in corporations and like I said, generating money, but it's all more for personal gain, which I just don't see myself going down that path. But if you're out there listening, it's like, yeah, definitely jobs and like marketing and like there's like a lot of good business jobs, man, or finance and accounting, depending on your skill set and what you're interested in. You can find a lot of good stuff out there, man. It's just I think that I'm this crazy creative person and I just kind of like worn out my welcome. I feel like kind of in that realm of professions, and I just got to do something different, man. You know, for me, but it's like everyone's on their journey, man, and trying to figure out what works for them. I guess what you're talking about with the working man, it's just like don't be afraid to work hard though.
Yeah.
To work also harder than the people around you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I tell this my poor daughter, man. She's like my little pupil, hearing all my lessons and all my craziness. But I teach her that, right? Because again, I came from a poor family, and so I told her it's like one day you'll have someone your same level that'll work, does your exact job. You guys do the same job. One day they're gonna have to make a decision, and one of you guys gets fired. It's just gonna happen. That's the corporate America downsizing. It happens every day. I won't be the one that is downsized, right? I'll be doing like two people's jobs. I'll be the most valuable. They couldn't get rid of me. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't, because that's how good I am. I will put in the work to be better than the people around me. And that's just that's just because of who I am. But it's also, that's where I come from, is that we need that paycheck and I can't not have a job. So you're damn right. I'm going to be the best, and I'm going to hustle
Mm-hmm.
harder than the people around me. And so it's almost like when you approach things, man, you gotta approach it with that attitude because you truly, and I don't see you want to be better than the people, but it's like you want to be at the top of your game and you want to be improving and you want to be seen as valuable, at
Mm-hmm.
least especially in that setting. But I just think of it as like almost like a metaphor for life because you don't ever want to be just stagnant and not growing. You always want to be kind of testing yourself and even a part of like in what you're talking about, like I don't know, like self improvement, man. Like there's a ton of stuff too that I'm need to work on for myself, man. Like my weight and stuff like that. Like I have goals for myself that I've conquered. I've been like big and small at different times in my life, but now it's like I want to just like work on my weight and get down to a normal weight and then lifestyle. I want to just live a healthier lifestyle from
Mm-hmm.
now. Like as long as I'm kind of on this planet, I need to like be better, man. I'm trying to like get some longevity and I'm not going to do it with the lifestyle that I have currently. So I need to work on that. And I feel like we're all need to work on, there's a bunch of different things, man. It's your like career growth or whatever, but it's also even just for you. It's like, man, I want to feel better. I want to look better. I want to like, always be, kind of moving in a positive direction. So, I don't know, man. I just feel like everybody in their own way, shape, or form is on their own journey and metamorphosis to something different. And I think that's good because you don't want to I mean, that's boring anyway, man. You don't want to be the same person. So, it's just like you always want to be on a path, to doing something greater.
Yeah. Man,
Yeah, I know it's deep.
that was good.
Yeah, you liked it?
So much good stuff.
Man. Yeah, I know I can go on and on, brother. So, but this was fun.
It was, yeah. We hit our 2 hour mark
Oh, okay. Man. All right.
just now.
That's awesome.
So before we wrap things up, is there any topics that you feel like you want to talk about now, or if not, is there anything you just want to tell the listener? Like anything you want them to take away, or yeah, anything.
Yeah, man. I think it just to even sum it all up is, man, just keep going. Like so I even the whole if you go look at Revolt Streetwear on Instagram, like it's something like I'm approaching like 2,000 posts and I've only done it for like two couple years now. And it's just like the amount of content and just like creativity that I've generated, it's just been a couple years, man. And I'm just like learning and growing and I don't know where it's gonna go, but you know what, man? I'm having so much fun on the path because and that's something too to talk about is like being content even in the hard times, like on your process to being successful, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
enjoying that. Like, so
Yeah.
even though like you think about the podcast, right? Like your listenership, what it is today versus where you think it's going to go and like all that stuff, it's like, whatever, man, it's going to get wherever it needs to go over
Yeah.
time. But dude, you got to enjoy it along the way.
Enjoy the process,
Yeah,
man.
man,
You
because
can't
that's the
just
best.
enjoy the goal.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just speed ahead to the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, and for the benefits too, because wouldn't it be nice to just not have to do the work and just get all the benefits, right? That'd be
Right,
nice.
yeah.
But there's something to the process,
Mhm.
and it's something to the growth and like the trials and tribulations, man. The experimentation. I mean, that's some of the funnest part to me
Oh,
is
yeah.
the failure, you know, because even like with some of these new art mediums, man, usually when I do something, it's like I'll do it till I break it because I want to see how far it will go, you know? So it's just like, so don't think of failure as failure, man. You're just testing stuff out and like along the way and enjoying every moment of it, you know? So really just experiment until you find something that feels right and just keep following that, man. And just keep, like I said, one day at a time, and don't look at it as, don't take it as like looking at the whole thing holistically, right? It's just like looking at the whole world or something and thinking like, oh, I have to do so much. It's like, no, you don't. You don't. Don't think of it like you're starting a brand or starting some new chapter in your life, man. Just pull out a piece of paper and just draw some stuff, man, or rap a little bit, or like I said, sing a song. It doesn't matter, but just start small. Just have fun with it. Don't start it even to be a business. Like that's the thing too, man. That's where we get into trouble is that we start things to make money. It's like, well, it's going to
Mhm.
be soulless and mean nothing
Mhm.
then, right? Because that's what you made. You made it to make money. That's what it was intended. There's nothing real there. It's like make something real and authentic, authentically you, bro, because you are an authentic soul and you have something that no one else has. So share it, man. Bottle it up. And if you can sell it, sell it. But if not, who cares? Like, you know, just have fun with it, man. And just think about like your future in those terms, you know, and again, hustle the lifestyle that you want in the future and then make decisions and plans based on that, you know, and just be realistic, man, and just put in the work. And that's mic drop, dude.
Yeah.
Done. But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the love, man. And I think you're doing great, man. So you just gotta just keep going. You'll get
Yeah.
there, for real.
All right, thank you, man. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to publish this one, but
Hell yeah.
thank you for coming on because I was a little bit nervous because we don't have like a super tight connection.
Oh, I think we do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a little bit nervous for this one, but man, it was
good.
awesome.
It's good, man. I can't wait to see what you do.
really
with it.
appreciate you.
Of course, man.
Um,
Anytime, man. And dude, you know, we'll do it again.
Yeah,
No problem.
awesome. I'm gonna do an outro later, so thank you for listening.
Bam.